Call to order the regular meeting of September 11, 2023 of the Gurnee Village Board. Roll call, please.
Ross. Here. Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Balmas.
Present.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Woodside.
Here.
6 present.
I'll stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, before we start, I just wanted to acknowledge the date today, September 11th. It was a good remembrance this morning at the Legion. The American Legion did a good job, and really appreciate how they provide remembrances for various things that happen in our calendar year. Just as a remembrance, and to me, it was really a memory of our first responders to say thank you, recognizing that there's putting your life on the line on a regular basis, and sometimes it's more obvious than others. 9/11 is one of those times. We want to remember that time, but really remember it for the purpose of thanking first responders. So thank you. So on to approving the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. Pat?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the August 21st, 2023 and August 28th, 2023 meetings. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2023-59, authorizing execution of a 10-month contract with MC Squared Energy Services for the provision of 25% renewable electricity for the Village of Gurnee's electrical aggregation program under a ComEd price match program. Item number 3, approval of Engineering Division's recommendation to award the Keith and Atlantic Avenue Storm Sewer Improvement Project to the low bidder Excavating, Inc. at a cost of $34,755. Item number 4, approval of Human Resource Division recommendation to enter into a 2-year professional services agreement with TASC for flexible spending account and COBRA administrative services at an estimated annual cost of $4,300. Item number 5, approval of issuing a raffle license and waiving the fee and bond requirement for the Warren Township High School Foundation. Item number 6, approval of setting a bid date of October 24th, 2023 for the Village Hall HVAC replacement and upgrade project. Item number 7, approval of payroll for period ending August 25th, 2023 in the amount of $1,012,588.15. Item number 8, approval of bills for period ending September 11th, 2023 in the amount of $1,974,733.48.
Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Trustee Garner, second by Trustee Ross. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. On to petitions and communications. The first one on the agenda is the approval of the proclamation designating September 15 to October 15, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the Village of Gurnee. Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated and observed annually in the United States from September 15 through October 15 and is a time for recognizing the contributions and influence of the Hispanic Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. Originally started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon Johnson, the celebration was further expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to Hispanic Heritage Month. September 15 was chosen as the starting point for the celebration because it is the anniversary of independence for 5 Latin American countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16 and September 18. Now therefore, I, Thomas B. Hood, Mayor of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim September 15 through October 15, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the Village of Gurnee, and urge our citizens to honor and celebrate the achievements of a people that have contributed so much to our American culture. Is there a motion?
Primero yo.
Motion by Trustee O'Brien, second by, you're the second. Second by Trustee Woodside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 2, approval of proclamation designating September 17 through September 23, 2023 as Child Passenger Safety Week in the Village of Gurnee. Child Passenger Safety Week is September 17 through September 23rd. The U.S. Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration wants to be sure parents are doing everything possible to protect our nation's youngest passengers. Car seats, booster seats, and seatbelts have been proven effective in reducing crash fatalities among children. All 50 states and the District of Columbia and all U.S. territories require the use of car seats for children traveling in motor vehicles. Buckling children correctly in the right seat for their ages and sizes can mean the difference between life and death. The Gurnee Police Department is hosting a free child safety seat event for Seat Check Saturday on September 23rd to inspect and correctly install child safety seats at the Target parking lot from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., or you can contact the Gurnee Police Department to have your seat checked at another time convenient for you. Now therefore, I, Thomas B. Hood, Mayor of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17 through September 23, 2023 as Child Passenger Safety Awareness Week in the Village of Gurnee. I encourage all citizens to help reduce injuries and the tragic loss of life by buckling up themselves and their children every trip, every time. Is there a motion? Motion by Trustee Thorstensen, second by Trustee Garner. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to reports. Item number 1, presentation by Fire Chief John Kavanaugh, justification to add 6th ambulance to fleet.
Sure. So I'll give you a quick intro and then turn it over to Chief Kavanaugh. So there's a memo in your packet with some information as far as the capital replacement schedule going forward, and then responses and patient contacts. So as you look at that, you can see the patient contacts and responses continue to increase. Just as a reminder, we currently have 5 ambulances with 4 on the road all the time. The 5th one is a backup. With this increase in service level to the community and calls, obviously the mileage on the ambulances has increased around the road more. That's more wear and tear. So the 5th ambulance, the spare, which is our oldest in the fleet, has been on the road much more than we anticipated in the past. So to try to help alleviate the wear and tear, spread out the mileage, the chief is proposing to add a 6th ambulance to the fleet. The wear and tear on the vehicles has only been exacerbated in recent years with just how long it takes to get the ambulances. So we ordered one in September 21, just showed up 3 weeks ago. The one we ordered in September of last year, we hope to have a year from now. So the current wait time for an ambulance to have one built is 26 months, which is a drastic change from how it was, say, 5 years ago. So that's some of the high-level reasons. Chief will get into more detail and share information on, as it says, justification to add a 6th ambulance to the fleet.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Mayor and Board, for letting us come in front of you tonight. Normally in December, we would present our capital plan, and last December we did. What we're looking at is modifying that. As Pat said, the 5 ambulances we currently have in our fleet, due to mileage, the call volumes, patient contacts, and then just the supply chain issues, it's not sustainable how we're currently doing it. So I figured I would run through some quick charts with you, explain what I'm talking about with the call volume and the patient contacts. You can see our responses in the last 10 years. It's gone up almost 40% over the last 10 years. It's in the last 5 years, it's up 25%, just total amount of calls. I've talked to each one of you quite often individually over the last few years. The reasons why: we do have an aging population. We've added some senior facilities and other special needs facilities, which we're seeing lots of calls, demand there. But it's in our residents, our single family homes as well. Gurnee is aging. I know we've seen this back when we had the high school here. They were explaining how the high school enrollment's down because the houses are more empty nesters. Well, the rescue calls and ambulance calls we're seeing are directly reflecting that. We are going to more calls. The majority of these, 70%, are EMS calls. What is interesting, we are seeing service calls across the board rising at the same percentage rate as ambulance calls as well. So when you're seeing this increase, it is across the board, both fire and EMS calls. But specifically patient contacts. This really jumps out at you. You see, in 10 years, over a 50% increase in patient contacts. The big thing here, 10 years ago, we had hospitals in Waukegan, multiple hospitals in Waukegan. We used to be able to go to Vista West, run a call, turn around that call in about 40, 45 minutes, and we would put maybe 6, 7 miles on our ambulance. Condell Hospital, one way from middle of town is almost 9 miles. That means we're averaging 25 miles just transporting someone back and forth to a hospital and going to a call now on each call. And as I've shared earlier, we run 22 calls a day. So you can do the math quickly on that and see we're putting hundreds of miles on each ambulance each day. It's just not capable of doing it. The other thing that goes to this, and we've discussed this over the years, the average time of an ambulance call is over an hour now. You know, just driving through Libertyville without lights back from a call, sometimes during rush hour traffic, that can be a 25, 30-minute ride at least just to get back into Gurnee. So we're putting more miles on. The ambulance are on the road more. Run time, the wear and tear, everything Pat kind of shared earlier at the higher level, we're seeing it. We are definitely, seeing everything increased. Specifically, the 5 ambulances we currently own, the mileage on this, our highest ambulance has 187,000 miles on it. When about 5-10 years ago, all ambulances were gone with 100 to 125,000 miles. Our average is 136,000 miles on our fleet right now. We are repairing, the good part, we have EVT certified mechanics in-house. We do a large majority of our brake jobs, our day-to-day, our preventive maintenance with people in-house. So we're actually able to find mechanics to fix the vehicles, and we have a very good team, and are keeping these up and running. When I tell other chiefs, other departments around, the mileage numbers we have in our ambulance, the average number is higher than anyone else has in the ambulance. The 136 is more than most people have. Now, how do we get here? The supply chain, as Pat pointed out. You did, 2 budget cycles ago, order an ambulance. It just showed up last week. Last year, we ordered an engine that we're hoping to see in the first quarter of January, of 2024. The ambulance that we ordered 2 years ago should show up next fall this time. If we place this order for an ambulance, it would be showing up 2 years from now this time. And it would keep the cycle up. We still have a long road to go here, keeping these in service, the 6 that we have. But it will, in 10 years, play itself out, and we will get back because we are starting to play the supply chain and we're ordering earlier. So at the end of 10 years, we'd be able to get ourselves back on track. So getting to the main capital plan that we present each year to you, we currently have 5 ambulances in our fleet. The life expectancy is 10 years. We switched that in 2018. We used to use an 8-year life cycle when we had 4 ambulances. We went to a 5th ambulance, and we went to a 10-year life cycle. That has worked for us if the supply chain would have held true to us. But right around the same time, right after that, a year later, is when COVID set in, 2020, and really the supply chain has backed everything up on us. The other things, just kind of our rest of our capital fleet, as long as we're talking about it, we do have 4 engines, 1 ladder truck, and 1 heavy rescue. Those each have 16-year life cycles. They're 6 vehicles. So what we've done over the years, we've built a plan in place where we replace our ambulances on even years. So every other year, we purchase an ambulance. We have 5 of them, 10 years. You can see how every year we do it. Our larger equipment, the other 6, we replace those on the odd years. And since in 16-year cycle, there's 8 years, 6 of those years currently have a vehicle assigned to them. Every 16 year, we replace one. There are 2 years that wouldn't have a larger piece of apparatus on those. So what our recommendation is to place this new ambulance on one of the 2 life cycles on that odd year when there is not a vehicle up for purchase, a large vehicle. We purposely make our large vehicles one a year, trying to soften the curves so we aren't getting hit with a huge spike. So we're recommending that in 2025, so next budget cycle, that we would purchase an ambulance. The thing is, with the 24 to 26 month lead time, we need to place that now. So instead of presenting this to you in December and working through the budget, how we typically would, because of supply chain issues, we're here to present this to you tonight, moving this up, and then hopefully later on your agenda, get approval to actually purchase the 6th ambulance. So that's the plan before you. That's the need. I'm open to questions.
Any questions to my left? No, any questions to my right? Trustee Thorstensen?
Mine isn't really a question. I'm in shock on the mileage, but I think you're right that we have such a great fleet maintenance, so I'm completely in support.
Thank you very much.
Trustee Ross?
I am too, but I was wondering, with the Warren Fire Protection District, did they have any money, or did they give it all to us for the fire station?
So the last two contracts that we negotiated with them, we do include capital in the total number. So when we look, we do not use a formula, we use a flat base. But myself, Pat, and Brian, when we sit down together, we look at what the cost is, not only for the fire department, for our dispatch services, our administrative, and we take a percentage each of those. And capital is one portion of those, including this capital plan. So part of their normal contract, they do pay for apparatus. We build that into their cost cycle. It's not just built on the fire department budget alone. We've purposely built the capital so that way they didn't have us coming every few years asking for another vehicle, the same as yourselves. They would like it to be across the board. So we build that in our actual contract price at this point.
We wouldn't turn down a gift from them. So
Well,
we can choose
I
right.
wouldn't, but I'm just saying that they are paying for them right now in the current contract system we have in place. And
Thanks. Trustee O'Brien?
So thank you very much, by the way. What is the next step on this? Is the intention, if approved, to order the ambulance 6 within this fiscal, or to get ahead of the supply chain, or is it to order it next fiscal?
so later in tonight's agenda, it's not on tonight's?
It would be on the following agenda.
Oh, I thought it was on tonight's agenda. On the next agenda would be to place this ambulance on there for purchase. On there if possible.
All right, we good? Thanks, Chief Kavanaugh.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
So direction-wise from the village board, are we okay placing this on the next village board agenda for consideration? The chief has the dollar amount in here, so we go through the cooperative purchasing like we've done before. It's through Fire Service Inc. With the Stryker patient load, patient lift system, like our other ambulances. That dollar amount, $362,435. So that's all included in the memo. I just,
Everybody okay with
a
that?
couple heads nodded, yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so I will place that on the next village board agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the presentation by the Environmental Sustainability Committee, September 2023 overview. Just would like to start this with saying that just a little bit of history, that this began actually in not such an illustrious fashion necessarily, is that Mayor Christy Kabarik, during a time in which Stop ETO was introducing some things about ETO that we didn't know about, and neither did anybody else know about. And as that time came along, in talking with Mayor Kabarik, she agreed that I would be able to start an environmental sustainability committee so that we'd be able to be out in front of issues that would come our way. And the village over the years has really done a great job of doing things like commercial waste haulers and our residential waste haulers, limiting them to one so that we don't have multiple waste haulers in town, that we are Tree City USA, just to name a few things where we have done well from the environmental standpoint. However, it wasn't necessarily a coordinated occurrence. It was really more department by department. Each department would pay attention to the things that were environmentally sound, and they did those. What the committee has done over the last several years was to make a more coordinated effort to take part in educating our residents in terms of how they could participate in the process, and that's really ended up being some things like electronics, recycling, styrofoam recycling, and there's been a number of other things where they've put things out that would make the residents aware of how they could be more involved in the recycling process. Tonight is another step forward in that committee's process. You'll see a little later in the agenda that there will be seven members to the commission that will be starting, and you'll hear a presentation from our trustee, Karen Thorstensen, and providing an even more coordinated effort so that we can, as a village, move forward in a way that we can hopefully forecast the future a bit, that we could be aware of what's going on. Austin Pollock has been the village connection to this committee and has done a great job keeping them on track. And just looking forward to new ideas and ways in which there can be recommendations to the village board, and that's what this committee is. It's a recommending body that can bring things to the attention of the board for us to consider. And oftentimes, it's from our perspective as a board, there might be some things that financially don't necessarily make immediate sense, but it's things that we need to know about so that we can prioritize them. And when we have a separate body that's making those choices and bringing those things to our attention, I've just found from my own experience, oftentimes my eye is on the ball as far as bringing new businesses to town, or making sure that our policemen and firemen have all the things they need and that they're under contract. And sometimes environmental things, they're not forgotten, but they're not necessarily in the forefront. And what I hope will happen with this committee will be is that all the things that not only just ETO issues, but many other issues we brought to the forefront that we'll be able to address as a village and be able to involve our community with them as well. And I think that the communication of these events that are going on, and I'm sure that through Chairman Karen Thorstensen and the committee itself, that your activities of word of mouth and also our publication of things will make things a higher profile so that our community will participate in such ways that we will be more successful in being environmentally sound and even better than we already are. And like I said, I'm happy with where we're at currently, but we can always be better. And that's what I believe that this committee will bring forward. So, Karen, if you'd like to start your presentation.
You bet.
And then afterwards, there'll be a point where I will be recommending appointments of the members of this particular committee.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to provide you with a brief update on the Gurnee Environmental Sustainability Committee, also known as our ESC for simplicity. And there are a few updates that are different from what was provided in your board package, so I'm going to highlight those primarily. Okay, so we'll start with an agenda, and it simply is to categorize the information into a few topic areas. So we'll start with background, which includes the history, the survey, and the Green Gurnee Awards. We'll move on to membership and then progress. Also, I should say at this point, because some of these pages get meatier, is to feel free to stop me along the way with your questions. You don't have to hold them to the end. The next page here is on background history. So starting there, as Mayor said, it was formed in November 2020. Our effort is to guide the green initiatives, and guide is a very key word for us because we observe and see how other municipalities might implement something, and we form those recommendations then. So we're simply giving that guidance. The community survey was distributed in May 2021. The top concerns are noted, including the industrial emissions from ethylene oxide, air quality in general, drinking water, and water quality in general. So a couple more comments on ethylene oxide. As of our August 31st update, Vantage emitted 12.54% of annual allowed emissions, and 17.89% were considered fugitive emissions. And if you needed, like I did, to be reminded what it is a fugitive emission is an amount that escapes the facility's existing controls. So it does happen, and there are limits in place, but Vantage presently is well under the stated limits. And if you wanted to read further on it, the act was implemented. It's an Illinois Public Act 101-0023, and that's what we're following, as well as Vantage. Recycling events. We've had some really very successful community recycling events, beginning last year with pumpkin composting. Styrofoam, we've had 2 events, and we have another one slated for October, so that's that one that maybe people don't think about often, but it has a huge impact if it makes it into our landfill. Paper shredding and recycling, we've had some nice sponsors from the businesses locally to help us and bring that kind of energy and participation from our community forward. And we have one scheduled for the end of this month. And electronics recycling, and I didn't catch how many of the public works staff were busy using all their muscles that day, but I think there were several dumpsters filled, 3 or so, was it? 5. Okay, so we were just handing out the green guide, but thanking them for their service, so we appreciate that. Okay, moving on. All right, Green Gurnee Awards, we've been presented with this information previously, so possibly for most of us, it's just a continuation or a summary of it. But this is really an essential effort for our businesses to showcase their sustainability strategies. We want them to be proud of what they do in our community for sustainability efforts. And so we put together this award program. We've had 2 awards given in February. The first one was Fast Lane Lube Masters, and they are recognized by their implementation of a waste oil furnace process to heat their service bays, so using their used waste oil. And Gurnee Mills was recognized in April 2023 for several of their enhancements, chemical-free water treatment, installing electric car charging stations, using battery-charged vehicles, and setting a target purchasing goal of 30% recyclable materials. So we're really proud of these 2 businesses. As you are doing business around Gurnee, I know I've talked to managers and asked if they've had any type of sustainability efforts in their business, and have given them the application. So we really want to try and have more. It's not a limitation of 2 per 6 months. We really want to get this going.
Chair? I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Trustee O'Brien.
Thank you. Is Gurnee Mills like the number 1 and then Fast Lane's number 3, or is there some kind of other differentiation between gold and bronze?
You know, I didn't memorize those. I don't know, Austin, if you have them, but it's not like one's better than the other, but there are classifications, I guess I could say it that way.
Yeah, they're attributed points. So obviously, if you get gold, you get more points for all the things on the criteria for the award.
Thank you.
So it's a completion of like a self-nomination form. We could certainly help encourage them if we see topics that they didn't select, but it is basically a checklist with little check marks. I thought Austin was going to stay up and help me. Okay, so that's that one. Moving on to the membership. So we had a small but mighty team initially, and that was with Rick Osan, Shelley, and Lucy, and Caitlin, and Austin. Austin's our continuing member here from our team. They really should be commended for making sustainability efforts real and kind of very tangible at the community level through all the recycling events that they started for us. So we're really pleased with them. And we do have a new membership team. I'm going to ask them to stand when I say their names, but I think also then Mayor might bring them down for a photo.
I'll do that. Why don't do you want to finish your presentation? We'll do
Sure.
everything together.
Yep, I'm just going to mention, will you call out their name when they're down here, or should I call out their name and they could stand?
Why don't we do it twice?
Okay.
Yes.
Just so
Won't hurt
people
them.
can make names with a face there. So myself and Austin, Rebecca Adler, and Steve Hero, and Brian Pentakoff. They're all in order. Dan Helgren, and Meg Beckley. And our high school member is not here tonight, Morgan Culver. Morgan's a member of Gurnee Youth Leadership Initiative, and so I'm sure she's busy doing 5 things tonight, probably. But this is really a terrific team. They have very broad interests, which include recycling or pesticides use, business recycling, land buyback, just to name a few. So I'm just so thrilled that we have a team that has varied skills and interests. Okay, so let's take a look at progress to date. So a couple of these things, everyone should be aware of the green guide that's a visual image on the right. That's called a Recycling and Safe Disposal Guide. Austin created that based upon questions that he received on what can be recycled, what can't. You know, you can receive some of that information by going to Swalco yourself, but basically he did a really fantastic job summarizing it into one page. We hand it out as part of keeping posted as recycle events, and residents have told us at the recycle events that they have it sitting on their refrigerator. So I'm really glad, because we want to get to that reduce, reuse, recycle, and throw away the least amount of product that we can. So that is heading us in that right direction. As for community recycling events, we've talked about them a few times already. So basically, they're just asking for more. The one that was probably the most of interest to everybody was mulch. So that's why we had to get the information that I understand. We had 543 resident orders totaling 2,200 cubic yards that was distributed. Additionally, they could go and drive there and pick it up themselves. So we just saw a steady stream when we were there for any recycle event that people are coming and going, and super excited about that. So outreach discussions, we've used these to help us develop and align our priorities. So lots of discussions with SWALCO, which is our solid waste agency of Lake County. Austin's in a community discussion group with them, which is terrific. I've had some calls with them as well. Waste management, we've talked about that, but certainly that's one of our key recycling activities, and management of the contract with Austin leading that. And then local entities, Warren Township Government and Warren High School. Morgan has talked to the MEX team, Mother Earth group at the high school, and we've reached out to Woodland. So we're trying to develop some things at the feeder schools before they hit the community, basically. The last bullet is always a question mark, so we're just going to push it right onto the next page and show you what the GRTC2 framework looks like. A lot of information on here you probably can't see, so I'm just going to touch base on a couple. But looking at the left-hand side, what does it stand for? It's a greenest region compact with a little number 2. So a second iteration. It's a framework developed by the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. It essentially provides a template for municipalities that are figuring out how do they get going on a sustainability on their matrix or their activities, but it's ones that have proven results. So they've taken all the types of activities that exist and they put it into, I think, 9 categories. We've collapsed ours thus far into 4 until we start getting going in other areas. So those 4 categories that we've done so far are the colored bands, horizontal bands. So the neon green, the yellowish, the blue, and that moss green on the bottom. So what it starts with is municipal operations. If we have a lot of policies and practices that Gurnee has put in place, so we just had to start identifying them, and we're able to fill up a page pretty easily. So that's that top section. The middle section is under waste and recycling. Couple items to point out there maybe is textile recycling, which is the third line down. To talk to you about how the difficulty versus impact works is it's a low difficulty effort. So we organize it through SWALCO. They drop it off. I think we have to pour a cement pad for those areas, but it's a low difficulty, but a very high impact. And what that means is if the residents use that, those clothes or textiles are not going into the landfill. So that's huge. Warren Township also has a box at their site over there at Alton in Washington. Whereas maybe low and low would be paper shredding and styrofoam recycling. And while they're 2 very different ones, paper shredding, people tend to, I guess, have their own way of getting rid of their paper. They don't always come to our paper recyclings, but so it is a low difficulty, but also low impact. Nonetheless, it's there. Styrofoam recycling, we hope that really starts taking off. I'm sure my garage and maybe Meg's are not the only ones that have so much styrofoam waiting for the next recycling event. So we are hoping that makes a big difference. The sustainable communities on the bottom and that green moss, that's what we really think is the next direction for our program. That's a key element of Gurnee's goals to how do we cultivate our community to look at sustainability efforts differently. So one way we are talking about is collaborating with the schools on their programs. So any questions there? Okay. Second and last page, progress. So I'm not going to read all of these. They're all nicely laid out. I think a couple ones that I thought were interesting is that Soul Smart Bronze designation. Gurnee received it for our community development's practices on reviewing and approving solar plans. So that's really nice that we had our practices in place and that we were recognized for it. The Gurnee flood mitigation efforts, we're all aware of them here, but maybe residents or others aren't aware of them, but our buying out of homes in the floodplain reduces our flood impact, our flood damage, and our resources, of course, to maintain those properties and keep the employees safe, or the residents safe. So just a couple items there. I don't know if there's anything else on that page. Really nice list, though. And our last page is what's in discussion now, or plans in progress. So again, we talked about the outreach with the feeder schools, that's number one. Number two, to continue to review information from IEPA regarding ETO emissions and permit compliance. The mayor and I are going to be meeting with a couple members, we hope, of Stop ETO, so that we can understand where they are and share where we are. The next bullet is one I'm super excited about, the water quality October 30th meeting. I think that was already scheduled. So if it's at our committee of the whole, but Brett with our Gurnee Utility Supervisor and Bill Susi from the Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency, another acronym we need, but our CLC Jawa team, they are going to be presenting to us. So we're really eager to learn about PFAs in our drinking water. They're also known as forever chemicals. And I had to look this up for you guys because I knew someone would ask. It stands for polyfluoroalkyl. Maybe there's two L's in that. So that's the extent of my science for today. And then lastly, I think a good one is that last bullet, the 2024 calendar. And our team was really excited to put that together. I was thrilled they did. Is let's target Earth Day and just put some more energy around it, call it a campaign, and have the vests, the public works safety vests, and the poker sticks and garbage bags already packaged up so that a resident can come with their group, or whether it's a homeowners group or scouts group, and sign out this stuff for the day so that they could help get involved in picking up around their neighborhood. And that's all that I had.
Do you have any questions for Karen? No? I really want to thank you. I can just say that back in whatever year that was, when my initial envisioned this, it wasn't this, thank God. So you guys just did a great job. I just thank you to ESC, already working before you're even appointed. How about that? To put this together. I think that's always a nice thing about it, is that sometimes someone can have an idea and then a group of people can come alongside and really make it more impactful and just really do a great job. So thank you very much. So we'll just move on to new business. Item number 1, approval of mayor's recommended appointments to the Environmental Sustainability Committee, terms ending April 30th, 2024. And what I'll do is I'll read your names, and then if you can come down front and we'll just take a photograph together, if that's okay with you guys. Karen Thorstensen, Chair, Rebecca Adler, Meg Beckley, Morgan Culver, Dan Halligan, Steve Hero, and Brian Pentikoff. Oh, you want to do it? Okay. Yeah, okay. Why don't we do that? Okay. Sure. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion by trustee Woodside, second by trustee Garner. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thanks.
We are. I don't know, may I want to-
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
See that?
On to item 2, approval of ordinance 2023
60.
granting a special use permit pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance to allow the establishment and operation of a vehicle dealership fully enclosed at 83 Ambrosio Drive, Unit C. Pat?
Sure. So received a memo from our planning manager, Tracy Velkover, on this. The petitioner's requesting a special use permit to allow the establishment and operation of a fully enclosed vehicle dealership in this multi-tenant building down on Ambrosio Drive. It's in the Gurnee Business Center PUD. And within that use list, it specifies auto sales and service requires a special use permit. Hence the request. Some details. So the dealership would occupy approximately 1,800 square feet of a 22,000 square foot multi-tenant building. The site's got 58 parking spots, so there's no issues there. It's internet-based with all operations performed interior to the space, so there's no repair work, no washing, no detailing, or no fueling that'll occur on site. Looking at business hours, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 4. 2 employees. They are looking to contract with Sapphire Motors for the repair of any vehicles off-site. I've heard that there's some Sapphire Motor signage at the site, but rest assured, any repair will be taking place off-site. So I think they just got a little bit of a jump on that as far as the advertising. It was before the Planning and Zoning Board, and they're forwarding a favorable unanimous recommendation.
All right, any questions to my right? Questions to my left? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by trustee Balmas,
Second.
second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner. O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside. 6-0.
Motion carries. Approval of ordinance 2023
61.
granting a special use permit pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance for property located at 3860 Grandview Avenue.
Sure. So this is another auto dealership. This is up on Grandview. It's a zoned I-1, so again, it requires a special use permit. The petitioner currently operates a tire and auto repair facility in the portion of this building and is looking to have some auto sales as well. Currently has a lease-to-own contract, and he's done some substantial cleanup up there as far as repaving the site, some landscaping, et cetera. So it's cleaned it up nicely. Some of the details on this one, they've got 11 vehicle stalls to the south of the building, 8 for vehicles that'll be for sale, 3 for customer parking, and the 1 handicap stall. 5 additional stalls at the north end of the site, which are tandem depth. They have planted a couple trees up there to bring it in compliance with the code for that. The vehicle sales will either be obtained through auctions or clients of the current repair shop. They're looking at hours of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 9 to 3. 2 employees on site. They understand the regulations as far as no balloons or blow-up dancing guys, et cetera. It was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board with one stipulation, and that came from staff, request from staff, that the parking south of the building be restriped to be head-in 90-degree parking to assist with the drive aisle length. So with that one condition on there, it received a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board.
And is the petitioner present? Yes. Is there anything that you wanted to say?
No.
No?
He said it pretty well.
Okay, well, it's a wise man. Any questions to my right? Questions to my left? So as far as the stipulation is concerned, is that automatically included in the motion that
Yeah, it is. It's
it is in the ordinance? Okay, all right. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee O'Brien, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Woodside.
Aye.
6-0.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
So item number 3 on the agenda, the petitioner contacted us today, or item number 4, I'm sorry, contacted us today and asked that this be tabled until the October 9th meeting. So he's still working on gathering some financial information related to his request, and needs some time to get those numbers together. So again, he requested that this be put on the October 9th Village Board agenda.
No motion, correct? Just will be withdrawn. Right. Okay. Item number 5, approval of fire department request to waive the formal bidding process and purchase 41 bullet-resistant vests from Strike Tactical Solutions at a cost of $35,919.17.
Sure. So I had a memo from Deputy Fire Chief Douglas on this. This was included in the this year's budget. So as you know, the world's getting crazier and crazier out there. There may be instances where the police department responds to an incident and has the fire department right alongside of them while it's still considered a hot zone. So these are bullet-resistant vests for our fire department. Instead of taking the approach of issuing a vest to each individual firefighter, paramedic, the department's preferred approach is to have them equipped in the vehicles. So the number here is based on how many people ride in that vehicle. It's one size fits all. They evaluated a couple different vendors. The preferred vendor is Strike Tactical Solutions out of Lake Zurich. And again, as the mayor stated, this is for 41 vests, so this would outfit all the vehicles. And then we are a little presumptuous, hoping that the village board would support the 6 ambulance, so this also includes the 6 ambulance as well. So I had in my notes there just to give you a little comparison. So these vests are approximately $850 each. The police department vests are $1,200, but obviously the police department has a lot more equipment hanging on them, so they're a little different. But I just wanted to share kind of that price point for each one. So it's included in the budget, so the funding's available.
Any questions or comments? To my right, to my left?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
trustee Balmas, second by trustee Ross. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside. 6-0.
Motion carries. Item number 6, approval of Public Works Department request of a change order in the amount of $88,943.22 for the purchase of 3 Peterbilt 548 chassis from JX Peterbilt of Wadsworth, Illinois. Public Works Department units 241, 271, and 295. Purchase originally approved by the village board on April 4th, 2022. Pat?
Yeah, so here's a perfect example of supply chain issues and where it comes back to bite us. So the village board approved 4 chassis back in April of 2022. Unfortunately, at that time, Peterbilt was switching from producing 348 chassis to the new 548 chassis. So while the village board approved purchase, we weren't able to officially place an order. There is no prepay option available with Peterbilt. It was basically, when production starts up, we'll let you know what the chassis cost. So after that, you'll remember that we were able to purchase a 548 chassis. So Peterbilt had another municipality that canceled. They got a hold of us. We were able to purchase that chassis. That truck was the first 548 outfitted in the area. So that truck has been on the equipment show circuit, being shown off at Peterbilt's request. So I think that bought us a little bit of, got us in their good graces a little bit as far as getting a line for these next 4. So Heather's been hounding our rep at Peterbilt, got a hold of us a couple weeks ago, said they're going to start production up here, and they'd be able to supply us 3 of the 4 chassis that we ordered, except for the pricing has changed since April 2022. So again, we approved 348s. These are 548s, so are a little more expensive. A year's gone by, so able to get 3. They're about $30,000 more per chassis. Unfortunately, the funding that was originally approved has already been expended. Heather has funding available in this year's budget to be able to cover the additional $88,000. So to get our order placed and get in line for these trucks, it's an additional $88,943.22. So we've been running the Peterbilts for some time now. It goes back to having standardization in our fleet as far as our mechanics being able to work on it, equipment being interchangeable. It's been a good product for us, reliable. We're happy with it. Not happy about the change order, but that's unfortunately the world we're living in right now. So change order for $88,493.22 before you for consideration.
Any questions to my right? To my left? Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee Balmas. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside. 6 aye.
Motion carries. So before we go into executive session, we do public comment. Public comment, if you'd like to make a comment to the village board, if you'd like to step up and state your name, we will listen to you. All right, there not being anybody, we'll move on to the next item, and that's executive session. Brian?
We need a motion to go into executive session. This is exemption C2. It's to discuss a collective bargaining agreement. We'll also come back after the session. We're going to discuss the contract that's listed under item H1.
And is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee O'Brien, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside.
All right, motion carries. We will come back, but only to, with regard to that one item. Back in session, roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Balmas.
Present.
Thorstenson.
Here.
Woodside.
Here.
6 present.
On to approval of ordinance 2023,
62.
approving the collective bargaining agreement between the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council and the Village of Gurnee for the term beginning May 1, 2023 through April 30th, 2027. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion trustee Woodside, second trustee Ross. Roll call, please.
Ross. Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Woodside. Sorry.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee Balmas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.